your shit. It's okay, that's how the game is played. You thought you could be fired, but didn't know how to get paid.
I Hate podcast show going down right now. It's your boy Heff. And for those that don't know, man, I'm a huge basketball fan. And I've pretty much done a lot. I haven't done DJs yet, but I have an author. I'm going to speak with a well-known author coming up soon. I've spoken with content creators. I'm covering all the aspects I can, but sports is really important. So I only had to get an expert. I didn't want to get a couch potato, person that never played the sport or never understood the sport, but have a lot to say or have a big opinion. I ain't talking to none of them. So I just got a pro up here. His name is Keenon Cage. What up, bro?
What's up, fam? How you doing?
I'm good. Tell everybody what you're known for, what you own, all that stuff.
All right, so I'm Keenon Cage. I'm the owner of Street Cred Sports and do Street Cred Sports training. So we do basketball training here in the city of El Paso. I do training elsewhere. I do scouting as well as camps and showcases. I'm originally from Dallas, so that's where I made my bones at playing. Graduated from Dallas Lincoln, sustained an injury. Came up to UTEP, was going to walk on, but I had issues with the injury and then walking on. And I ended up staying here. And then about 20, 25 years ago, I kept getting people asking me to work their kids out. So at some point, I just started the training. So we've been doing training since 2008 as a business, and it's been going strong.
It has been. And you work with all types of kids. You work with children, like young kids, all the way up through high school, correct?
No, well, up to professional.
Oh, yeah, actually, so up to professional.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I can. It's when it's higher level, elite, more athletes. Mm-hmm. Training is a little bit easier because it's just little tweaks and getting them comfortable with whatever it is they want to do, and then just rep.
Represent, yeah.
With development, you having to correct and fix, and one thing that I guess everybody tells me is my wife always says it's my gift is the ability to see how somebody's doing something and how they're messing up and to be able to fix it. So one thing I pride myself on is I've never had any situation with anybody when it comes to training that I couldn't fix whatever it is, right? And then once you fix it, then it's okay, now we got to get reps the right way.
Right. So, like, I remember playing sports in El Paso, and my family didn't want me to really play basketball in El Paso because of mismanagement. And what I mean by that, I ended up playing AAU versus high school basketball because I was growing at a really fast rate at the time. I think by the time I was 15, I was 6'1". And the coaches didn't know what to do with me, so they always wanted to play me as a center.
Right.
My father and other coaches, my brother, rest in peace, Notes also was like, well, learn the post game, My father was really big on defense, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm a real fan of defense. Like, if you see me on Facebook talking, I'm really like engaged in defense more than I feel like if you have your defense on point, if you have your footing on point, then your offense is going to come. Especially depending on what you are. If you're a spot up shooter and that's what you do at practice, and I don't think a lot of people understand how many reps players actually go through on like shooting threes. It's not like they just walked up there and started shooting, engaging. They start, a lot of us, because I was a pass first guard, and even when I shot, I had to start from the free throw line. Well, actually, I started right in front of the hoop, then I would move back all the way to the free throw line, and then keep moving because the thing was seeing the ball going into the basket, which is psychological, but it's manageable, right? So being a spot up shooter, people don't realize, even when you're at from 82 to 97% free throw shooters, people are shooting like 400 or 500 free throws within an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all they're doing. Certain people like Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and people like that are these dudes are the first in the gym, last to leave. Kevin Durant, same way. Like these guys are just, and they're not only that they're bred to play, but like you said, you can actually teach somebody. You have the ability to teach somebody to be great, but it's more mind than physicality. Physicality is part of it. Like it's really a high percentage of it, but I feel like it's always a mental game or mental toughness or discipline that you need to play the game. And so I salute you on that. I was always a fan of you, bro. And the way that you, I've seen you train, I've seen your videos and stuff, and you're not hardcore, but you're relatable because of the fact that you play. There's a difference between just coaching and training and being a player that coaches and trains. You get what I'm saying? You can get into their head a little bit easier than I ain't never played the game, but I read this book though. That's like being a pilot and never flew a plane. But you're gonna train another pilot to fly, like that just doesn't work. So it's I am thoroughly, this is probably the first year since the bubble. Because I'm gonna take it back to the bubble real quick because a lot of people didn't view that as a real championship, and I didn't at first, and then I thought about it. So again, I'm leading into this as a psychological aspect of basketball. The bubble was during COVID. COVID was a really horrendous time. It was a hard time. People couldn't be around people, and these guys still tried to play. There was no home team in the playoffs. There was no crowd to cheer you on. It was like going to the Y and playing a pickup game, which you have the stability. Like, if you think these players don't thrive off of crowd participation and music in the background and this, that, and just the camaraderie of the whole thing, you're tripping. Like, it's silent. So when I thought about it, I was like, no, that when the Lakers won that, I think they earned that. You know what I'm saying? Because those teams that were in the bubble in the playoffs were really, really, really good. And then they showed their ass out the next year when it was regular. It wasn't like it was a one and done thing. Miami was a threat on the East, like regardless, with Jimmy buckets and all that. But this year, we got a lot of young teams in the playoffs playing, right? Yeah. So, like, we got Oklahoma City, we had Houston, Detroit, Indiana, like Orlando. Like, how did you feel when you saw some of these teams that you're like, okay, they're not really playoff bound teams per se, like you're not expecting them to do much, but then you watch them perform in the playoffs. What was how were you able to tell, like, okay, who's, like, some of the top seeded teams are out. Lakers are out. Yeah. Golden State's out. Houston's out. You know what I'm saying? Like, Boston's out.
Well, for me, I know a couple of years ago, I had said OKC was going to be formidable in the coming years. 2 years ago, when Udoka got at Houston, watching the talent he had, I figured they would be formidable as well. Houston issue is, unfortunately, they don't have that person that it's, give me the ball, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get us a quality shot, or I'm going to get somebody else a quality shot. They have some that can do it in spurts, but that's kind of how you separate having superstar versus regular stars. Superstars are going to get their shots. So, like, look, if they had a closer, let's say if they had KD, they win that series against Golden State probably in 4 or 5 games just because they're a superior team. But Golden State's able to keep it close. Now, when you look at the Lakers, I know we had these conversations throughout the year. And the thing with them was they used a lot of smoke and mirrors when they had that defensive run where they were, tops in the league, and they were playing teams and teams like when they played Denver, it took Denver off guard. But see, the thing in the series is you're going to have to play them at least 4 times. And every game is usually different how they can adjust and everything. And with the Lakers, they got a team that was hot and a team that was the type of team they couldn't match up with. Plus,
would you attribute that Minnesota outcoached the coach from Minnesota outcoached JJ Redick? I that's the only thing I saw in that whole series was JJ Redick did his thing in the regular seasons, but Minnesota should have been light work. Like let's keep it true. Even though they've only lost 2 games in this whole run, and they're balling out of control. They are. I'm not taking nothing from them, but don't you feel like in round 1 when LA got the gentleman's sweep? Do you believe? Because the fact that what was the components that you mentioned to me that they didn't have going into Minnesota?
I said that the issue with the Lakers were, offensively. Now, I will tell you, offensively, I didn't think they could fit. But the reason I didn't think they could fit was because I didn't think one of them was going to take a back seat. By LeBron saying, hey, I'll be more off the ball, that opened everything up, putting it in Luka's hands. So now their offense flows a little bit more. But with Luka, it's all ball dominant, right?
Right.
The biggest issue wasn't on the offensive end.
It was on the
defense. The biggest issue was, when I say defense, usually when you have a great defensive team, you can have one person on that team defensively that might not be a quote unquote lockdown defender that you got to help, right? So you can scheme to try to help, send help that way, and make that player. So, okay, all I need you to do is this. With the Lakers, you not only had 1, you not only had 2, you had 3 holes on the defensive end. LeBron on ball can lock up the best, but it's the help side where now if he's helping for a block, yeah, but it's the help a lot of times where you have him to just he's looking. Right. Austin Reeves tries to play defense, but he's not really good defensively. So
I don't think he's there yet.
No.
I keep it fair. Yeah,
he's showing effort, but there were times where they were actually running plays to target Luka.
Yeah, and to target Austin.
But then to target Luka on the help, and then to help the helper, knowing that Luka's not going to do that. So it compromises the other 2 or 3 players in there to force him. Now, when he was with the Mavericks last year, everybody else could D up. Even Kyrie locks up now.
No, he's nice on defense now. Like when if you ask me, do I like Kyrie now versus before on defense? I think he's way more
right.
He's solid. He's solid on the defensive side. Yeah, I agree.
Right. So that was the issue. That was what I saw. Plus, you didn't have not a dominant, but you didn't have a rim protector. And what was weird was you do everything you've done the whole season, and then you turn around and you flip it.
I hated that.
And not play Jackson Hayes.
This is what I thought, and I agree with you 120% on this because, yes, Jackson Hayes is a young boy. He's a little bit little, but so was Anthony Davis when he came into the league as well. You know what I'm saying? He's a work in progress. But the fact that he could defend in the hole, which you needed, I think he could out defend. What's that dude's name? I can't stand that. Like from Minnesota.
Gobert.
Yeah, I can't. I don't like him so much. I don't even remember his name. But he's not good to me. He's just a big body. Like if I were to choose Gobert over Zubac from the Clippers, I would automatically choose Zubac. I would go way better player, defensively and offensively, right? With Hayes, and then here's the other thing: rotation. rotation. I was so frustrated. I was like, how you gonna try to play LeBron for over 35 minutes? It's crazy to me. Like, I didn't like that. That looked like desperation ball. Luka was fighting through every disease that he had that during that playoffs. I know it would, I'm not going to say Luka's weight and all that plays a factor, but it plays a factor. Like, now we're seeing at a faster pace, they're running. This is running gun. He couldn't do that. So I saw that. I saw Reeves. I saw that what the coach did when they changed their defensive schemes on Reeves. For him not to hit where he was supposed to be hitting. You didn't utilize your bench, and you got a bench. Like, because of the fact they didn't have a good first quarter or second half of the first quarter, doesn't mean you bench them for the whole game. I mean, you had Vanderbilt. The best defender on the Lakers is Vanderbilt, and you did not use him. And he was, from what I understood, he was at least over 90% ready. Like, there was nothing wrong with him to give him limited time. I don't think we didn't have a big. I thought we could have dominated on small ball, running fast, but to your it's defense. Like, offense, we could have ran them. We could have just outran them. But going bucket for bucket ain't going to work with that team, And
well, thing offensively, the thing offensively is Minnesota comfortable position. So Vanderbilt was in an uncomfortable position having to shoot those corner threes, right? What I think they should have done with Vanderbilt was put him in the dunker spot. So, you have somebody else, because Vanderbilt's probably the only one that's, you see him shooting, you're clapping your hands, right? But everybody else on that team, other than Jackson Hayes, if Jackson Hayes isn't in the game, you put Vanderbilt on the dunker spot, or if you run the pick and roll with Jackson Hayes, you have Vanderbilt on the other side. So, you can catch that lob or pass or whatever you want, depending on how you do it. You keep him in that area. Now he's able to catch lobs or rebound and kick back out. But putting him in the corner on the that's not it. That's not his strength.
Well, they thought they were going to bring Gobert out. Well, I think that's why they didn't play Hayes, was that they were going to move Gobert out of the hole, right?
Right. But Gobert's so used to playing out.
Yeah,
and the hole.
It didn't help.
You have to make him play defense, unless you're going to run the pick and roll against him every time. But if you're going to get that matchup, you're getting that matchup to score on Gobert.
Yeah.
A lot of times they would get that matchup and they wouldn't score on it. And then what Minnesota was doing was, a lot of times on the pick and rolls, they would blitz or try to trap him and get it out of his hands, right?
Right.
And it's weird, because you would think, okay, this is Redick's first year, but he had a very seasoned assistant coach, a crew. So you would have thought they would have, done some stuff in there.
I don't know if what's making this playoff run interesting is that the first thing I did say was I wanted LA the first 3 games I was like, LA's not going to win this, but I'm not going to say it online. I'm not going to. But I mean, I was like, I don't know, man, because y'all running the 1980 scheme defensively with LeBron out of 5. It makes sense, but not as your total starting 5. Like, that just didn't make sense to me. LeBron used, and I don't like to use age, because obviously he's 40 years old and still balling like he's 30. So I don't want to use age, but body is the body. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm gonna say that. Like, yo, you can't even run a 30-year-old like that, let alone a 40-year-old. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not using that as an excuse either. I just think rotation sucked ass. I think defense sucked ass. And I don't want them to run and say, oh, well, let's trade all these dudes for one dude that might not make a difference. All we just need is a solid big that actually hustles for 50-50 balls. You don't need a first-round draft pick for that. I know a guy right now when the draft happens, I know we are the 35th pick. If we don't choose that one dude, I forgot. I was looking at scouting reports, and there was this one dude. He's not a great player, but he's a 7-footer. He's not a shooter, like an outside shooter, but he has a high. I'm going to send it to you when I look it up. His 50-50 balls is like in college was amazing. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we need. If we can get an ultimate offensive and defensive rebounder and a defender of the whole that nobody can get into, that's why I liked Williams from Charlotte. If that trade would have went through, it would have been a different game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I like Dalton Connect, but he's not. He's not a generational talent. Okay, like, and what I mean by that, the reason why we're like, oh, at Austin Reeves, everything you threw at him, he was able to. When Luka and LeBron was out, and he put up that 40. You know what I'm saying? And JJ told him, you got to do that to win this game, and he did it. I was like, oh yeah, he legit. So I'm not giving up on Reeves yet.
No. He struggled as the series went on because they gave him more attention. But that's good for him because
now he's gonna understand it.
He understands it, and that's stuff he can work on, right?
And that's what I said about I'm like, y'all only know Kobe Bryant from 2000. You don't know Kobe Bryant from 96. That boy wasn't hot. He didn't come in. He didn't come in 96, 97.
Right. It took him a while.
Yeah, it took him a minute. He couldn't shoot for shit. You know what I'm saying? And I was there because I was a fan of Kobe since day one.
Mm-hmm.
I would have probably been, I think, he got drafted by Charlotte, I think, in the beginning.
Yeah.
I would have probably been a Charlotte Hornets fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because I was that big but I was a big Shaq fan too. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw that combination, I was like, oh, that's going to be the new Penny Hardaway. That's what I said. But it took a little bit longer. Like Penny Hardaway, I tell people, I'm like, Penny Hardaway, Steve Francis, and what's old boy from one that got hurt that went to Orlando, the other point guard, Tracy McGrady.
Okay.
Them three were better than Kobe at the beginning. That's all I'm saying. And their rookie or their freshman, sophomore era was arguably better than Kobe. If McGrady never got hurt, if he didn't suffer those injuries like he did, I possibly would have said he would have been a better player than Kobe Bryant. The only thing that would have set them both apart is Kobe's work ethic after the fact.
Right.
After the fact. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
After Shaq. That's what would have made him better. But these guys came swarming. So that's what I mean by like looking at Austin Reeves on his second year and what he was able to do. The smoke and mirror comment you made, I agree with it if you're talking to a casual fan. If you're talking to a casual fan, yeah, because they're going to believe anything they see. And they're not going to question it. They're like, oh. Like I saw so many people on Facebook talking about Austin Reeves. And I'm like you. I was like, well, let's see what happens when this happens. How's he going to be able to handle it? He's a young dude. Everybody keeps thinking this dude is like seasoned veteran. He's not. You know, how's he going to handle it? Now, is next year, are we going to see a different Austin Reeves? Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to, unless they trade him. I think
they're going to still get rid of Dalton Connect before they get rid of.
It makes sense, but here's the thing: you have to keep at least one, right?
Uh-huh.
With Dalton Connect, he's just really a catch and shoot person. So you don't have to give him the ball. With Austin Reeves, he's a catch and shoot, but he still wants to get the ball sometimes. So
well, I think he's good as a facilitator. I don't think Luka
but
should be the person to bring the ball down. I think Austin's better.
I get it, but you think about it. You have him and LeBron. So if you scheme and you have him dominant, and then sometimes you let LeBron have it, then you can get away with that, right? But if you have all three, it's good. But like what you said, you can't keep both. So if I'm looking at it and saying, okay, we're good on the point guard, we're good with having LeBron run the ball sometime, and even if we have somebody that can get the ball up the court, we can get the ball up the court and then give it to one of them too, right? So who's going to have more trade value right now?
Well,
Reeves
Austin does.
Right. So we let Reeves go. We let Connect come into a bigger role because we need to keep the floor spread for LeBron as well as Luka. He puts that role because all he's going to do is shoot, and he's like 6'9".
Yeah, he's not a little dude.
Yeah, he's not 6'9".
Okay, so how do you build your team against? Okay, so I think what LA tried to do in the beginning, I think with them being before they were big dominant and they had a lot of age on them, and they got rid of everything and made it younger, faster to compete with like the Golden States. And I think the one thing that I think people didn't expect was the emergence of Oklahoma City. I saw it like as you, like 3 years ago where they were headed. I just didn't think it was going to be that fast. Like I didn't think Houston was going to be that fast when they added those little pieces like Adams, for instance. People don't know how valuable Adams really is. That he's that one cog that you put in that puts it all together. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm looking at that. I think they weren't anticipating. They were like, yeah, we can run. Golden State did it, but Golden State's different. And
LA
became a very proficient 3-point shooting team, but it's Golden State. I'm not a fan of Steve Kerr, but he's a guard. And he takes care of his guards, and you could tell. Yeah. Like his guards are the stars. It don't even matter who comes in. Every single guard can shoot.
Yeah, well, this year, ever since Clay left, they've struggled to find somebody that could be consistent and spread the floor. And he went a little bit more defensive this year, realizing that he doesn't have the guard, he doesn't have the shooting to spread it out. And
well, you don't think that little Jewish boy, what's his name? Or I call him that because he's a white boy.
Brandon Podziemski.
I mean, that dude is.
But he's streaky.
He is. But
he's streaky.
Like I'm shocked at Green.
As far as
not Green, Draymond. I'm shocked that he's shooting better this year.
Well, but see, Draymond has always been a serviceable shooter. He just didn't want to shoot. And because you don't want to shoot, you don't really get the reps in that you need to be proficient. But he's heard the noise more and more that he needs to be a shooter when he needs to. But see, here's the thing. He doesn't do it consistently. If he did it consistently, other things open up, right? He's made his bread and butter on making sure he can get the greatest shooter ever shots when he needs them in volume. But what happens is when you start loading up and being physical and taking away some of the things that Steph does, you have to be able to pivot and adjust. And that's what problem they've had since they didn't have Clay.
So you think with them with losing Clay, so you didn't have them after the play-in victory, you didn't have them going on this run on how they did Houston? Like, let's talk about Houston.
No. Here's why. The year that they won, the last championship Golden State won, I thought, okay, they're back because they're going to do the strength in numbers. They have the young guys, Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody, right? Those guys can pull. They played a significant role in spots during that championship run. They all had something that they did in each series that was instrumental.
Right.
But I was talking about this on my podcast. Steve Kerr is his, I think his act is starting to work in, because you don't use Jonathan Kuminga at all this year the way you're supposed to. This is supposed to be his year. He doesn't use him, right? So now who do you have? Because Jimmy Butler's still getting acclimated. And Golden State's offense is, there are NBA people, coaches that say that is the hardest offense to play in, because it's intricate and it's geared with a lot of ball movement and stuff towards Steph. Steph gets majority of the shots. So Jimmy Butler you could tell he was like passing the ball. And what I thought Steve should have done was, okay, we don't have Steph. We're not going to go to a traditional offense, but we're going to feature Jimmy more post up, elbow, and we'll run our split cuts and back doors and stuff off ball. And we're going to let Jimmy decide and make him shoot. He only shot, I think, 8 to 11 times those last 2 or 3 games on average.
Yeah, they didn't utilize him correctly. Yeah.
So yeah, no, they guys. Look, I'll be surprised. I won't be as surprised if Steve Kerr is there next year. They're going to have to make significant changes, because the league has gotten bigger and they figured out how to play kind of small ball in spurts, but they play big. Look at all the teams left.
We kind of knew the shift was going to happen when the size issue came up. There was a conversation about the true sizes of a lot of these players. And I remember I saw Durant. I remember seeing Durant when he played for Texas. That brother is not no 6'9" or what they have him registered as.
No, he's
7 foot.
Legit. Yeah, he's a legit 7-footer.
He's a legit 7-footer that can ball. Just like Anthony Davis. People don't realize that Anthony Davis was 6'1" in high school. And then
I still have a post. I still have a screenshot of that. He grew every summer. Mm-hmm. He grew every summer. And then once he got drafted, he still grew, I think, another inch.
But the thing was, he still had a 6'1" mentality.
Right. He because he wasn't big, he played guard. And that really helped him as he ascended to be a big man, because he could handle the ball. He played, his game is like just so similar as the Joker in Embiid, because he can handle the ball and shoot and stuff.
And that's the thing, the way that, like you're saying, and even with I said this a long time ago, I said, what y'all think was going to happen with these European players when we're sending all our guys out there? What did you think was going to happen? Did you think that, that all the dudes that didn't make the NBA that went overseas wasn't going to train these dudes to come here and act the fool? Who thought that? I was like, that was the dumbest rule that y'all made, that you would have to go to college 1 year overseas. I'm going to go overseas, get the bread, come back, get drafted, since you don't want nobody to come in at 18 anymore. That's stupid. And then you see the emergence of these Euro players coming up, and they're playing a different type of ball that the NBA is gravitating to, because they want a bigger stage, like you said, like it's becoming a bigger stage. So with doing all that, you're going to have to adjust. So now it's being big dominated, because Luka ain't no small guy.
No.
But if you ask me, does he have, if he can get his physicality in order, he could be the next Magic. I'm not calling him that yet. Everybody's saying that, but I'm like, yeah, his passes are nasty. Like his IQ is very, very, very great.
Right.
But his physicality ain't there yet, and I'm not completely sold yet. I don't care.
Yeah, well, he's physical in certain spots when he wants to try to have advantage. And look, this is why I have a problem. The problem I've had with European players, it started with Ginobili. Ginobili would get into you really strong defensively, right? Use his body. He's really strong, get up into you. And then when you went like with a strong bump to get him off of you, he'd fall.
Yeah,
and that's not how I played. So like the Joker and Luka specifically, and your boy Sangoon at Houston, they play physical when they know they can play physical when it's an advantage to them, but they don't play physical when you need to be physical and strong because there's so much flopping and so much complaining.
But that's how I think. That's why I think that Houston lost to Golden State the way they did. I think Draymond. We'll go back to how we talked in the beginning. Psychologically, nobody except Adams. I'll say Adams is the only one that's immune to it, but he's Australian, so it don't count. Like he a thug by nature. But yeah, so going on, they didn't know how, like psychologically, Draymond was damaging every single player on the court without even touching them. Like I can't wait to catch Dylan Brooks in the streets out here. You know what I'm saying? So I can give him an uppercut because he ain't tough. But that's what I'm saying. But even he couldn't. And I agree. Like if you they'll do that to dudes. It's like bully ball. That's why I call it bully ball, because it's like if they find a matchup that they can take advantage of, they will.
Which is smart.
Right. But there's dudes that you just don't expect to do that, and they thorough with it. Like that. Like let's talk about the Knicks last night. Everybody's talking about Porzingis. Porzingis isn't real. I never thought he was dope. He's just a really big dude that can shoot. I never really put no stock on him.
But in that with that team, he put that team in a different stratosphere. When he was healthy, because you can't match up with him and his size and how far out he can shoot. And then defensively, he plays defense.
He does, but I don't think I don't know, man. He plays like
his problem is he's hurt a lot.
I'll say East Coast defense. The defense on the East ain't like the defense on the West. I'm just gonna keep it funky. Like I'm not too super. Like if you're not playing for the Pistons, you know, your defense is always gonna be suspect to me. And his defense wasn't, even when he played for the Knicks, wasn't really.
No. But what I'm saying is just this: he just fit Boston so well. Like you think about how some players go to some teams, and they're a really good player, but you just see how the team flows with that player. And it's like if he didn't play against the Mavericks, you gave the Mavericks a chance. But if he was healthy, there was no way that series was going to go more than 5. And this year, same thing. He's injury prone. Man, you could tell he was sick. I don't know what he had. He might have had one of those really bad upper respiratory.
That's what they said Luka had on the last game, that he was dealing with that. Yeah.
Right. He had something because you could just tell. But
he was breathing hard. He was panting.
Yeah, he was a non-factor in that series. And you know, they benefited, and that's part of it.
They said the analysts were saying that I can't stand analysts sometimes, especially the ones that don't play. They were saying how deep the Celtics bench, which I do agree with. They have a deep that like they can run 10 guys like nothing. That's not a problem. However, you're playing a Knicks team that's reminiscent of like the Knicks with Starks and Oakley and all them. Like, and when I say reminiscent, when it was time to win, they used to win until the end. Like, what made me not take New York seriously is they go up against Chicago and get their ass handed. But that run, the knockout top teams, that's historic. You get what I'm saying? And I felt like New York I feel like New York has the tools to actually make it to the finals, but I'm gonna tell you why they're not gonna make the finals. There's something about Indiana that when you look, okay, so would you agree there's a dynamic team. There's dynamic teams. Like you look at the players, like I'm a big fan of Josh Hart, even when he played for LA when he was younger and he wasn't that good. And I saw him develop when he at New York. He's really, 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 really a good defender.
Right.
But I like the pieces with New York. I like their pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Anna. All right, so you got the dynamics, and then you got practical, and then you got a well-oiled machine. And I feel Indiana's the well-oiled, patient team.
Right.
They got the right players in the right spot that understand their role. You know what I'm saying? Like they're playing like old school basketball. And when I mean old school, not the physicality, but like fundamental fucking basketball. Like they're playing fundamental basketball. And then they turn up if they turn up when need be. But when you look, they don't ever go really more than 5 passes. You know what I'm saying? They don't do more and they don't do less than what they have to on offense. But they're gonna get that shot.
Well, the thing is what it's like. Indiana is really excited because
they are now.
I'm saying because Boston, they always had issues matching up with because of their style. But New York plays a slower style, so New York's gonna have trouble because Indiana's gonna speed you up. They get layups off of missed baskets. Off of unmade baskets.
Exactly.
So that pace. I was listening to a show on the NBA radio, and it has some of the analysts, but then it also there's one that has Sam Mitchell on, and he was saying that pace that Indiana plays with is so much faster than what Boston plays with. So they're gonna have to go deeper in their bench because Indiana's gonna run. Plus, you got the Tyrese Halliburton. And
that
Jalen
boy
Brunson
is special. I don't know why anybody's not giving him flowers yet. Like that boy.
But remember, there was some chippiness with Halliburton and Brunson this year when they played. So that's going to throw another added element of intrigue because they're going to go at it. So the Knicks were built to beat Boston.
Right. Okay. That's what okay. Real quick, that's what I think LA was built to beat Golden State.
Well,
no, not Golden State, Denver. They were built to beat Denver.
They were built to play Denver and OKC because those were going to be the teams that you made. And a lot of times you're going to hear matchups. They didn't really want to play Minnesota. That was a bad matchup for them.
Yeah, that was. But thank you for that. That's what I was trying to say about LA, why we exited the way we did, because we weren't physically ready for Minnesota.
Right.
But if we would have had to play Denver, I think we'd have took them out in 5. Like for real.
Now seeing Denver play right now. And that was it's one of those things where, like I was saying earlier, in series, you're gonna have to So are you not gonna play Jackson Hayes against Jokic? You're gonna stay small against him?
No, you can't though. Okay, so it goes back to freshman woes at this point because this is where JJ Redick needs to sit here this summer with the front office and look at all this tape of what mistakes you made as a coach.
Right.
Based on rotation. Because I agree with you. That part I'm not going to argue about because I don't understand how you have a big man that can defend at that level and you didn't utilize him.
Right.
But now as far as the East, let me ask you about Detroit real quick. On 2K, okay, so I play 2K 25, I create myself. I have grandchildren. That's me now because I'm 51 now, but I put myself in as an 18-year-old, but it ain't me. It's really my grandson, and this is all what goes on in my head. This is how goofy I am. Anyway, I chose to play with Detroit because I was a big fan of Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of Cunningham. And I like Stewart too, but I think he hinders success because
Yeah.
he's like, to me, he's like the new generation of Charles Oakley.
Yeah. And that would be good if you were still in that era. But
Yeah.
now, and like you could say he's Draymond with, I'm not going to say that part because I don't want it to sound like I'm disparaging him, but he's Draymond without Draymond's offensive skill level and defensive skill level. Because Isaiah plays, he's a bruiser, he rebounds and stuff like that. But defensively, Draymond does a lot more on defense, and then on offense, he does a lot more. So if Isaiah, which is not going to happen because they're not going to work on that, but if Isaiah can bring something more to the table, he could be more valuable, because this is what you start to look at. Like, all right, well, we got Durham, right? Durham is up and coming,
and he's going to be dope too. He's going to be really dope.
Or does Isaiah help us enough to go forward, or does he hurt us? Same with Houston. You look at it, you say, does Jalen Green help us enough? He didn't make the strides that we thought he was going to make. Do we stay with him, or do we look at making some changes and not making Jalen Green that guy for us, right?
The problem with that, and I'm going to talk about proximity on this one, what you're talking about. It's going to be a hard sell because he's the draw in Houston. Like, he's literally the draw. Like, I'm talking about business-wise now.
Right.
It's like, do they get rid of the dude that's technically their franchise in Houston? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the reason why you sell tickets, because I don't know if you noticed, when in the playoffs, when Houston was playing at home, and if you really looked at, they don't sell a lot of tickets. They really, really don't. And what I mean by that, I go to Houston games for $15, $20 is because they don't fill up seats at the Toyota Center. That's just what it is.
Right.
But if you want, I went to go watch Green play.
Right.
So if you hear me, I'm not a Rockets fan, but I'm gonna go
to watch Green. Right.
That's it. And that's why I think a lot of people go watch. So it's hard to say, do you put them up for a trade? But I mean, we've seen crazy shit this year. We've seen
here's the other option to that, right? And this goes the same. I'll use this with James Harden. This same thing. Mm-hmm. You keep Green, right? You have a lot of pieces around that you can trade for. You can put together and trade and get a guy who could be like your go-to guy, right? So let's say you bring, even if it's Kevin Durant, you bring Kevin Durant in. He's your go-to guy. You make Sengun your second option, right?
Right.
And then you have Jalen Green be your third, or have those two flip-flop. So now you have a bona fide one, but you let Green, like if he gets hot, he gets hot.
So you're saying, like, right now, the way Houston looks, they just don't have the it. They need one it.
Yeah. Right. Like Thompson, is it Asur or Amar? It's one of the twin. Amar Thompson, or is
Amar
it Asur Thompson?
Because I think Asur plays for Detroit, right?
For Detroit.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So if it's Amar, he showed glimpses of, hey, I can go get it, but he's not there yet. And you have a team that can essentially contend next year. They just don't have that guy that says, hey, we need a bucket. The last 5 minutes of a game, they're doing they're taking away everything we're trying to do. We need a bucket. They don't have that right now. And if you get KD or whomever, somebody else that's a bona fide get a bucket guy, now you have to put Houston in a different stratosphere.
I see. Okay. I think Houston's got that moment. They're going to get that moment. I don't see a championship in like the near future, but I see them being
if they had that guy this year, they're probably in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This is what we're leading to. Oklahoma City. Now, before you start, we can talk about the possible MVP in Alexander, right? But based on what I've seen in this playoffs, it's been more than just Alexander.
Now, you're number one. We can't do that because
Okay, what are we doing?
Because the MVP is a regular season, and
no, I'm just saying. You're looking at a dude that they don't talk about nobody else on this team, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, goodness, what's his? Is it Jalen? Jalen Williams. He was the second guy, but he struggled these last 3 games.
Right.
If he has and this goes to the point. If he has a bad game tomorrow, if he has a bad game against the Game 7 against Denver, now they're going to look at it and say, we're going to have to bring somebody else in because Shea has done what Shea has needed to do this whole series. He hasn't been as dominant.
But I mean, Oklahoma really built their pieces around that man.
Right, but you, if anything, anybody who like you really know about it, you have to have at least one more guy that can take the pressure off of that first guy and then be able to get buckets if needed. That he's going to punish you if you don't pay attention to him. Jalen's not doing that. Like you've seen these guys on OKC tighten up. Yeah. They tighten up. Some people say it's because they didn't have any, and they were blowouts all year. They blew everybody out, right? So now in the playoffs, everything's tight, and they're struggling. Those shots, he's gotten weird on his rotations. He's not rotating and playing the way he was during the regular season. Guys, you can tell guys are missing, and they're worried about missing. They're not playing free the way they had been in the regular season.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we got a little bit of time. We got a little bit left. Okay. This is the first time. Well, you know what? I never argued with you on your logic because of the fact that it's not arguable. So, like, I'll challenge it, but I'm like,
yeah, okay, of course. I need that.
That makes sense. All right. Like, I mean, but okay. We're coming down the line. The smoke is cleared. The smoke is cleared for the most part, except for Denver and OKC. Now, right. Last topic with this, we already know we're gonna wait, and then we're gonna talk about this. I'll bring you back on after when we see who's gonna make it to the finals, and then we're gonna see what we're talking about, what we talked about today. But okay, so on the East, it's either New York or Indiana. I want Indiana to win so I can make fun of all my friends in New York. That's technical. So there's no strategy to it. I'm just gonna go for Indiana because I'm not gonna go for New York. I'm never gonna go for New York. But I went for New York last night because of the fact why? Because it's Boston. I'm an LA fan.
That's a shame. And you know what? That's why to me, that's why you fans of teams. I had a segment on my podcast with my wife about is it better to be a fan of a team or a fan of the sport? And that's why, because you got
to be fair, Keenan. Look, man, I've been a Laker fan since 1983. Okay,
yeah,
I'm a ride or die for real. Like, I'm not a casual fan. I'm not a fan when it's convenient, but I'm also a fan of players growing up. So I was always a fan of AI. I was always fans of other dudes on other teams, and I would root for them until they played us.
Right.
So I root for anybody. If my team's not in it, I'm a root. Right. I'm from the 80s and 90s where I had Rockets gear and I had Orlando gear, like Shaq gear. I was a fan of Shaq.
Right.
I remember when I was at UNT when scrimmage against LSU in Shaq's junior year, and I ain't never seen a man that big in my life. Never seen a man that big in my life. I was like, and you remember old Shaq when he was thin. He was tall,
Yeah.
thin, but big
Yeah.
at the same time. And
Yeah.
he was fast as hell.
Yeah.
He was super fast. And he could dribble.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
later years. People only look at the later Shaq when he got big and 8. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
I'm just saying, so
Yeah.
I am a fan of what's about to happen. I am going for Indiana. I'm on the fence about Oklahoma and Denver right now. Because I'm like, who's going to see? Because, this is where I'm also looking at. Minnesota's chilling with 2 losses. 2 losses in the playoffs.
Right.
LA had 1 loss back, 2000, 2001, when they only had 1 loss going to the championship, and they won the championship. They had 1 loss in the playoffs. Minnesota has 2. That kind of bothers me because of the fact that their hunger is a little bit different than everybody else's. So who do you want to see face Minnesota to possibly beat Minnesota? Because I don't live out there, so I don't give a damn about Minnesota. But I love Edwards. I love this dude's tenacity. I love this dude's energy. I love how he balls. He kind of reminds me of a hybrid Vince Carter that can shoot threes. He's exciting. He's an exciting player.
Right.
He's just on the wrong team. Ain't nobody. I ain't never seen nobody wear Timberwolves gear. Like I'm just talking as a street dude. I'm like, ain't nobody seen nobody walk around with some Timberland gear or Timberwolves. Like,
you might see a lot more Anthony Edwards gear, but not just straight Timberwolves gear.
No, you ain't seen like nobody's trying to rock a Conley jersey. You know what I mean? I'll rock a Conley jersey when he played for Memphis, but I'm not gonna. That's just me joking on the street side. But who do you think between Denver and OKC that could be possible threat to Minnesota?
You know, I think OKC matchups physically because they got size, they have athleticism, they have shooters. With Denver, unfortunately it starts and ends with the Joker, and then you give them you have Jamal. Now it's said that what's his name Gordon is out.
That's bad.
And if he's out, I don't give, because Gordon is able to stretch the floor a little bit more.
But do you feel Gordon showed out this playoff series?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And his defensive versatility and his offensive versatility now, with him being, I think he was shooting over 40% from the three.
He was from the three, yes, because he was spotting up and he was killing them.
So now, who else is gonna knock down threes that you worried about consistently?
The other light bright dude, what's his name?
Porter's struggling because of a shoulder injury, and he's streaky at best.
I thought light-skinned brothers play through that.
What is up with y'all and the light-skinned people, man? My God.
You don't have to slide that in sometimes. I'm like, they got the Drake energy. They might be able to...
The Drake energy. Oh my God. Yeah, y'all be killing me with the light skin, dark skin stuff, but
I'm from the era school days. I'm just fucking around. All right, so you don't think Porter's gonna show out?
He's struggling with his injury, and defensively, he's another guy who's always been suspect defensively. So I don't think he's gonna give you enough. So if Gordon can't play and be effective,
well, who would be the X factor then? If Gordon can't play, who's the X factor at this point? Besides,
I would say Jamal and Joker is going to have to probably both have over 25 to 30 each, and then from there, other guys, can chip in, because Russell is hit and miss. If he's on, then you go with him. But if he misses,
I feel like Russell. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this year is a little different than his other years on other teams for some reason. Like, he's really showing up when faced adversity.
Yeah, look, he plays hard. He's gonna play hard and stuff, but he goes through these stretches where, I mean, against OKC, where he was shooting air balls from the threes and they were leaving him open. So when he knocks down one or two, he kind of plays a little bit different. Now, defensively, in the game strategy, I wouldn't personally have him in there, because throughout his history, I can point to you lots of times where he even made the mistake. I think it was against Minnesota. He missed the layup, right? When he missed it, it was a shock factor that, oh my God, I missed it. That 0.8 to 1.2 seconds that he stood underneath the goal is what caused him to get back late and not get back to the paint and then fan out. He ran across foul Alex. I think it was Alexander.
You did,
in at the end, and he makes those free throws. So he's always done on the ball, exceptional on the ball. It's off the ball defensively, where for some reason he struggles.
Man, see that I want to, like, you're looking at it as an educated, like, this is what's gonna happen. And I'm looking at it like, well, I would like to see.
Oh, yeah.
What I like to see is this, but it's
right. I would like to see Houston. I'm not Houston. I would like to see OKC and Minnesota play.
I think that would be the more.
Yeah.
I think that, okay. So let's just say OKC wipes out Denver. The only reason why I'm saying that it's easier said than done is because it's simple. Denver won a championship, and nobody realizes that knowledge in your head on how to play and when you need to win plays a big factor on when you never won. And you just, again, we started the conversation with psychology.
Right.
And this is where I feel like it's going to end. I want OKC to play Minnesota, because I think that if you're looking at Western and Eastern Conference Finals, these are great matchups for a change. These are really, really forget all the popularity stuff like Miami or like the big team, the big city teams.
Right.
This is great.
And here's the greatest thing is, to me, is they match up almost mirror. So one team doesn't have a distinct advantage.
Exactly.
Okay, with Denver has a distinct advantage against OKC because of the Joker, right?
Yeah.
When they play Minnesota, they really he struggled. He had a game or two against them really good when he was like, hey, I need to show you, but they do a number. There's no distinct advantage with OKC against Minnesota and Minnesota against OKC. It's almost a mirror of each other, because they got guys that they could put on you know what? The one advantage for Minnesota would probably be Randall, because they don't have somebody for OKC that's big and tall and physical the way Randall is.
That's a great point that you bring up, because of the fact that Randall, I think he found. I honestly, I'm agree with you. Like, he actually found his home.
Yeah,
because of the fact that he has his piece in this puzzle with Minnesota.
Right. And it's funny, because earlier they were talking about how at the beginning of the year they couldn't figure it out, and that they have to give time. Him and Gobert was struggling to find out, and they weren't. But when he was sitting down, I think is when they started to look at how to use him. He's used more as a point forward with them. And
makes sense. Them. That's what they were trying to use him for in LA, to be honest.
Right.
Before LeBron.
Yeah. It makes sense. So he's the one guy, because everybody else, you could throw a lot of people on Shea that can guard him. You can throw a lot of people on Edwards that can guard him. Correct. Gobert and Nas will kind of cancel that. They will cancel Hardenstein and Chet out. Kind of, they're about the same. If you look at it, they're both about the same.
Right.
Randall's the one guy that they're going to have problems matching up.
Well, because he's a piece of the puzzle that you didn't anticipate, and if you're not doing your scouting report.
Would you love to see the Knicks and Minnesota play in the finals because they both made the trade and those guys are going against each other?
I think that would be the greatest. That would be great. Like as a fan of the game, it would be great because I know there would be some kind of animosity because with the casual fan don't understand. There's only two big cities. Okay, there's New York and there's LA. You get traded from any one of those cities, you're mad because there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
There's nowhere like me being in entertainment so long. In radio, there's markets. No different than the NBA, no different than the NFL. There's markets. Certain markets pay more than others, right? So you're telling me that I get traded, and I understand the business part. I get traded from New York City to fucking what's St. Paul or whatever the hell city in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Like, you're trading me to where they shot Laverne and Shirley.
Hey, you leave Laverne and Shirley alone.
No,
man.
I'm not. I'm just saying. Like, you went from
Squiggy.
yeah. Oh, you went from the Jeffersons to Happy Days. Like, how did that happen? Like, I'm talking like in entertainment. Like, it's like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a great matchup because of the fact he's going to probably ball out of control if that happens.
Yeah. So you got Cat and Randall who want to prove that they made a mistake. You also have Dante DiVincenzo who wants to prove, plus the connection with Bronson in. But here's one thing. I don't know if you remember earlier in the year, Minnesota played, I want to say it was either preseason or early on in the year. Minnesota played New York in New York. Mm-hmm. DiVincenzo gets into it with Bronson's dad.
That was a regular season game, I believe.
Yeah, it was a regular. They were going at it. They were talking, and Bronson had this look like, like, man, y'all need to chill because, DiVincenzo is his boy and that's his dad. And he was really, he had this look like, no, man, y'all can't be doing this. Mm-hmm. DiVincenzo was not happy. He was not happy and he said as much about it. So if they play, DiVincenzo is really going to be trying to
antagonize the situation, which is rightfully so. I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you when it comes to that, when I used to live in El Paso, I lived on the east side of town. Mm-hmm. I lived on the east side of town. And on the east side of town, the Northeast didn't like us so much. So what I would do, I would antagonize the situation, and I would go play ball. I have veterans or nations.
Tobin.
You know what I'm saying? They knew I went to Hanks. You know what I'm saying? They didn't like me. And I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And it was funny to me because I didn't own nothing on the east side to have a stock on where I was from. But, that's how kids grew. And so I used that psychology to manage because I was like, okay, you don't like me because of what? You don't like me because, I can or can't ball or whatever. You don't like me because of that. You don't like me because of where my mother told me to grow up at.
Right. No, they treated you like a light-skinned brother.
They did. They did. And I'm like, bro, I get my tattoos done in Indian ink. What are you talking about? But the thing is it's again, it goes back to the beginning. We're psychological on this shit. And so what's going to make the game fun this year versus other years in the last, I say 5 years, is there is a lot of personal. There's a lot of personal into it, which you're speaking on. And it's going to be great. All right, so your prediction. Denver, OKC, who got Game 7?
You know, with Gordon not playing, if he doesn't play, I don't see Denver having enough. So I would go with OKC. Now, if Gordon plays, I think it's a coin flip because most of this series has been tight.
Mm-hmm.
If Gordon doesn't play,
well, is that fair to say? Like it was tight all the way to the last 3 minutes in each game because OKC showed their ass always in the last 3 minutes. They were showing their ass.
That's what it takes.
They showed their ass. Like
OKC won Game 5 and it was tight.
Yeah, it was tight, but they were lacking. They were lagging hard. That fourth, I don't know if people understand that fourth quarter is so important.
Yeah, and I think Shea has discovered, how he can be effective. At first, it was, that's the thing, difference in the series. You have time to watch and see how they play you, and you make adjustments.
Absolutely.
And I think Shea has made some subtle adjustments with, going at one-on-one as opposed to trying to dribble in the crowds where they're helping, because those guys aren't hitting threes the way they were in the regular season. If they were, Shea would have easier time getting to the basket. So I would have to say OKC because Gordon's not going to play.
Okay, but if he does play, you pretty much think Denver's going to go. You're on the fence with this. So
if he plays, it's a coin flip for me.
Okay, all right. So we got that. New York, Indiana. Your prediction?
I don't know why, but it's something about Indiana I like.
Indiana's gonna win, bro. I'm telling you, Indiana's gonna win. I'm gonna go for both. Because
it's gonna be I think that's gonna be a better series than Boston and Indiana because those teams match up just as well.
No, they're equal.
They're equal matchups. And there's a very strong dislike because Indiana booted them last year out of the playoffs, and New York said y'all wouldn't have beat us if we were healthy. Everybody's healthy this series,
and they got a squad. New York got a squad. As much as I hate New York, I only hated Indiana because of that other light bright that shot all those threes back in the day.
The what?
The other light bright that shot all those threes. He shot like 83s in 2 seconds. Yeah, fuck him. But and those are like, who is he talking about? Reggie Miller.
I'm sorry. You got to make sure people who don't occasionally.
I don't fuck with that.
Yeah. I know who you was talking about.
Yeah, I don't fuck with Reggie Miller, but this Indiana squad is definitely somebody that I'm excited to see in the finals. And either way, we're looking at if let's say OKC.
You're gonna have if OKC wins.
I'm gonna tell you this.
Champion.
I can see them winning the championship, but I'm gonna say you're gonna have let's just say if it's Indiana and OKC, it's gonna be something to see because of the fact it's the first in our lifetime that we get to see two medium tier teams
play for the championship
in a scenario like this with really, really dope. We actually wanted OKC when Durant was there.
Yeah,
what caused Durant to go to Golden State. We wanted OKC to go to the finals with that squad that he was on, right? And it was going to be a sight to see that because we're already used to seeing LA. We're already used to seeing New York. We're not used to seeing New York do anything.
Right.
We're already used to seeing Boston. We're already used to seeing the Heat. We're used to that. Chicago. Right. We're used to all that, But this is just different, but it's dope because these players are forced to be working with in a bigger market.
Right. And the thing is if you outside of Denver, I mean, if Denver doesn't win, then you're gonna have four teams that three of them that have never won a championship, right?
Never.
And the Knicks almost have them because it's been so long since they've won one. But if you have those four teams, they're evenly matched. Like they all look like the same team in a sense when you really look at the matchups and how they play. So yeah, I would like to see OKC in because it's you have a chance to have a new team winning outside of New York winning.
But if Minnesota does go for whatever reason, and if it's Minnesota right now, it is. It's like tic-tac-toe right now with these four teams because we're going to be okay with it. Like, yeah. I mean, me, myself, as a fan of hoop that likes to talk shit on Facebook, because that's the only platform I talk shit on. Every other platform, I'm good. Like, I don't bully nobody, but like Facebook is because it's supposed to be like family and friend shit. I don't give a fuck about none of that. So I don't. I told my man that was a Boston fan last night. He was all so mad at the Knicks. I said, man, that was revenge porn. That's what New York did to y'all. It was revenge porn. Yeah. And then they posted it. And then you're upset. Stop. Go to bed. Go to bed. You drank too much Hennessy. Go to bed. So I'm going to agree with Keenan on this, is that this is different. And that's why I told you in the beginning, like, I was like, this is a different, it's more exciting this time around because of the fact that it's not expected. It's not an expected playoff run. This is almost like some Final Four shit. And it feels really good. It feels good though. It's like, okay, my team's out. You know what I'm saying? And so now my team is out. I'm able to not walk around with foggy lenses. I can actually watch the game and enjoy it. And that's all I've been doing. I've been just enjoying this. Like last night, I was on Facebook like, oh my God, Boston sucks. Oh my God. Because, that's what I wanted to do because of the fact my team's out. And they're like, well, where's your team? I was like, saving a spot for y'all hoes. Because y'all about to go sit next to us with y'all racist ass and gonna sit right there with me and watch a small town. You got Indianapolis and New York, and if Indianapolis wins, and let's say Minnesota wins, you got two Midwest teams that nobody ever wants to go to.
Right.
Nobody wants to go to Indianapolis. Nobody wants to go to Minneapolis. Because they got two cities. And that's what we got. And I'm okay with it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fuck with it.
I am too.
I'm gonna fuck with it. Too. No, I'm gonna go get me an Indiana Pacers jersey. If Indiana wins and goes to the final, I'm not gonna buy a Reggie Miller jersey. I'm gonna buy Oh no, don't get it twisted, bro. And Halliburton's the only light bright that I fuck with. All right, so that's where we're at right now. We are done, but I'm bringing Mr. Keenon Cage back because we gel when it comes to basketball. Like, it's not like we're an adverse conversation. I don't like doing all that back and forth. If it makes sense, I don't do that. So again, Keenan, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Last minute too. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, and I have to get you on mine so you can hear some of the outlandish things my guy Lee says sometimes.
Oh no, I go over there to y'all's platform all the time. When I go over there, it's always like a mess, and I be just
like, because he be saying some stuff. I be like, for real?
I'll be more than happy to come on, man.
He said Tyrese Halliburton was overrated, and I was like, "What do you mean overrated?
To who though? I mean, I don't understand.
But now
why do people say overrated? Like, what does that even mean? Okay, so you're nice. So what is? I mean, I don't understand what overrated.
Look, I can't really give you an answer because number one, I'm like, well, overrated in what regards? He's a pro.
Yeah.
Number one, number two, he does. What is he overrated for? Because he knocks down shots.
Yeah.
He hits game winners. He's electric. He handle. He does also. I don't know what it's one of those things where people say stuff and it's you hear it from out the years and then they just say it without having a full understanding what it means.
Like the term racist, they misuse that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing. I'm just saying, like,
you're right.
Misuse of words.
You're right.
Like,
absolutely right.
I'm sitting here like I'm writing a book. So as I'm writing this book, I'm learning different things, and I'm like, I'm learning terms, and I'm like, yeah, we've been misusing a lot of shit.
Yeah, we do. When you really start looking at it, it's a lot of misuse, and some of it is just you hear other people saying it that you might respect or you think highly of, so you think, well, they got to know what they're saying, so I'm gonna say it, and without even looking back to see what that word means.
Yeah, they're just fucking haters. Let's just call it what it is. Stop hating. Anybody on Keenan's podcast, stop fucking hating. There's no reason to hate.
No.
If they ain't fuck your girl, you good. You're all right.
Quick thing. We started talking on a podcast. We was talking about Jordan and LeBron, right?
Okay.
And I said, to me, LeBron is like a hybrid of Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan because
I agree.
100%. So this dude commented because we put it out on our we did a little clip and we put it out there, and some dude commented is like, he ain't nothing like Michael Jordan athleticism. Stop it. So I'm looking at it like, well, how is he not? And then I messaged him to say, well, how is it that because I really wanted to know. He never responded. I go on his page just to see if he was a troll. He has a lot of Michael Jordan stuff, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
Let me just let's end it off like this. When it comes to Michael Jordan, you're not gonna have this conversation with me about LeBron. First of all, the only comparison to Michael Jordan would be Kobe Bryant because Kobe Bryant admittedly said he mimicked Jordan's game.
Right.
The argument's done after this. LeBron is great at his position. There's never been a fucking forward. There's never been a three to play like him ever.
Right.
And if you do want to compare him to somebody, you do compare him to the likelihood of Magic Johnson. Nobody else.
Yeah,
nobody else.
His game is like Magic.
His
athleticism's
and
like
he's
Mike.
a pass forward. He's a pass first forward.
It's nothing wrong with that.
Nobody ever says that. You can make the argument with Kobe holding the ball all the damn time and all that. LeBron is a pass first forward, point forward at that. And he's not like everybody else. So if you want to compare him to Magic. Magic is a pass first guard, which I mimicked. I wanted to be Magic. I ain't give a damn.
Yeah.
The points. The stats are there. Yeah. Everybody, if my man didn't get sick, he would have bypassed Stockton. I don't give Stockton all the flowers that y'all want to say he gets. Johnson didn't play a full career. So
right. Yeah.
I'm just saying. And he was electric.
Yeah.
It's almost like white chocolate. Like white chocolate, y'all over here like, no, white chocolate was dope. He didn't last a long time, but he was a street baller in the NBA.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
He was.
Just like Austin. These street ballers that made it to the NBA, they were dynamic. That's what I'm telling you. There's dynamic and there's fractal. The dynamic players are the ones that you remember because you remember that one game he did this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what about the other 80 games? Fuck you doing it? My man Keenan, boy. Hey, man. We're going to chop this up after the fight. Well, I'll invite you on before the final start, and we're going to review back what we talked about, and then we're going to move forward, and then, whatever you need me for, just let me know.
Yeah, we need to get you on. I remember the Facebook Live days. So
that shit
we
was
need
fun.
to get you on. Yeah,
that was fun
real
with
fun.
old crazy ass.
I'm not even gonna ask you on camera. I'll message you and ask you.
All right. So this one, again, hey, promote your stuff real quick.
Okay, so we're at Street Cred Sports Training. We're on Facebook, so it's Street Cred Sports Training on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, as well as TikTok. And now I'm actually creating an online community called Virtual Hoopers HQ. So that should be coming out real soon. If you want, as far as the website, streetcredsports.com. If you want to go to the website and see what we get, and all of our links and stuff are there. So I appreciate the plug, man. Our Time the Ball podcast is on. We do it. It's on our YouTube station as well.
Oh, when does it? Is it streaming live or is it posted?
It's I always tape it and then I upload it.
What days is everybody need to look out for?
I drop it on Sundays, but like if they subscribe, they get it once it hits. But I usually drop it Sunday evenings.
I do mine Sunday morning, so make sure you
good.
follow Street Cred.
Yeah.
And again, this is my man.
Yeah, I'm gonna share yours on mine as well.
All right. So, hey, man, thank you again, and I appreciate it. This is, man, we filled up my whole time. I'm good now. All right. So we out, and again, follow, subscribe, like, all that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My man. All right now.
1991, yeah, hangs high. What the dudes were dumb, corny, but the ladies were fly. Hanging with the day, Korea, that master getting black pussy. Yeah, and he lived around the way. Knew this girl named Shay. She was mixed, but always willing to play. So I met her. Claudia was a chick that drove with black Jetta. Mexican broad, and she believed she was gonna get her. Let this girl